Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today we are going to be checking out He-Man, Masters of the Universe Battleground by Archon Studio. This is a two-player starter set. This one, I'm going to be showing you the models assembled that come in this set. I'm going to be chatting about the gameplay if you wanted to play it, and I'm also going to be showing you at the very end, for anyone who is unfamiliar with assembly of plastic models, I'm going to be showing you how to assemble these models. So I hope you enjoy this video. So in this kit, you have everything you and a friend or enemy would need to play this He-Man and the Masters of the Universe game. If you have never heard of He-Man, I don't know what you've been doing with all your life. But anyway, in my humble opinion, I think you are missing out on the most wonderfully terrible insults and comebacks you have ever heard, as well as some nice moral at the end of the stories for each episode. I watched He-Man as a child, and I have been absolutely thrilled to watch it again, as I happen to find it available on the Masters of the Universe YouTube channel. So if you ever want to look at an purely fun, definitely not serious TV show for adults and kids, you should check it out. For anyone who's watched it before, just check it out. For pure nostalgia, it is absolutely hilarious. So this kit comes with 5 models on the He-Man side and 5 models on the Skeletor side, all of which I'll be showing momentarily, as well as more than enough terrain so that you can put down game boards that allow you to play a bunch of different games and have them feel different every time. To play the game, you need a hex grid board, tokens, dice, the models, and the rules for the game, as well as the rules for each of the characters and their equipment. And all of this comes in the one box here. Now, if there are characters that you want to play instead of the ones in this kit, don't worry, there are waves of boxes for alternate characters that will allow you to play any of the characters you have seen in the shows, with very few exceptions. Everything feels great quality for the material that it is, the board and tokens being cardboard, and the cards being the usual flexible cardstock of playing cards. The models and terrain are all plastic, and though the models will need some care, having smaller parts that could break if they fall or are stored without any notion to their fragility, the terrain, on the other hand, is definitely something you could throw around. The models come in 2 separate colors for the evil side and the good side, and the terrain comes in pale gray, so you could easily play this game without painting a single model. But if you are like me and enjoy adding color to your models, then I hope you enjoy my future videos, where I will show simple but detailed ways of painting each model in the color scheme of their character. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video if you're interested in that. Oh, and probably hit the bell notifications, and I put out all sorts of different videos. Now, the board that you're playing is 25 hexes by 30 hexes, which seems to be 22 inches by 30 inches. And though you don't necessarily need to play with the hexes make the gameplay so much easier, so straightforward. I wouldn't suggest playing this game without a board that has a hex grid system. Not necessarily this one. You can always go up in scale, like to 1.5 inches, because I know those exist out there. That can certainly be done with this, with the rule system of here, but I would suggest just trying it out at the 1-inch system that these grids are before going any further. So I've assembled all of these models, and I had no difficulty assembling them. Whomever worked on these sculpts did so well at hiding the joins of every piece and either the folds of the clothing or the curves of muscles. They were taken care of. Someone put a lot of love in these. So Archon Studio gave me painted minis to borrow as well. So just look at the possibility for painting each miniature. These all tickle me pink. Each of these characters also happen to be the size of a Dungeons & Dragons character mini as well. So I don't know about you, but I would absolutely use these as my D&D characters wherever I can in my campaigns. But of course, as the character they played in the Masters of the Universe realm, because wouldn't that be all the more fun? I think it would. Do let me know what your favorite character in the He-Man universe is. And if you haven't gone and watched He-Man already, do so and then come back and tell me which is your favorite character in the He-Man universe. Mine. I'm sorry, I gotta say, mine is just He-Man. I've always been a fan of He-Man. I mean, I don't fully get why he has to hide who he is, but I mean, that's all just the fun. I also don't get why no one can recognize him, but hey, it's just like Superman. You just can't tell if he's wearing something different. I just like it. Though I do absolutely admire his mum as well because she's just a great scientist and I like scientists. So there we go. You tell me yours. Now let's talk gameplay. It's a turn-based game with 4 game rounds, and in each round, you and your opponent will take turns back and forth activating characters in your force until every character has acted that turn. I do say 4 game rounds, that's the maximum if one side defeats the other before that and the game ends early. These characters have a certain number of actions that they can take that is determined by fate, as in fate cards that offer a number of actions. The actions a character can take include a move action, an attack action, a focus action, which can improve your move or attack, a skill action that allows you to use one of your character's own skills or their equipment skills, and an overwatch action that allows you to ready your character to interrupt your opponent when they activate. Now, there are several different attack actions, melee attack actions, ranged attack actions, and spells. Your characters also have several stats to pay attention to in the game. Now, these characters are going to have character cards that'll have all the information that you need to play the character in game on the one card. Your characters have several stats to pay attention to in the game. Strength, to improve melee attacks and skills that require physical prowess. Perception, to improve ranged attacks and skills that require outstanding coordination. Power, to improve spell casting and skills requiring magical ability. Toughness, to defend against physical attacks and skills requiring endurance. And mind, to defend against spell attacks and tasks requiring fast thinking. What equipment you give your characters would be based on the stats that they excel in. You also have to pay attention to the terrain that your characters are wandering through. There is difficult terrain to slow your characters down, as well as short and high obstacles that can slow movement and block line of sight to an opponent. There are also platforms where you can gain the advantage of the high ground. Without any previous tabletop gaming experience, I think that you can pick up the ins and outs of these rules quite quickly. So after a couple of simpler games, that just leaves the tactics and your force building skills to be tested. Which characters work the best together and how? Should you run up to the platforms to fire at enemies from a distance, or does your team really do best when running into combat? You also can flank your enemies, get around them to give an advantage to your attacks. There's all sorts of different aspects to the game that will determine victory or not. There are a lot of different equipment pieces to choose from. Which character does the best with which equipment? Now, these are still my first impressions on the game as I just received it from Archon Studios, but I am very much enjoying this style of play thus far, and I will be putting more videos out as I play it more. Also, expect a battle report in the future. I hope you enjoy that. If you want to check out the options for picking this up yourself, I've added Archon Studio's upcoming Kickstarter link in the description, where you can get this starter as well as a variety of other expansions and special characters, which I'll show off and chat about later in future videos or add in the description here once I've created the video. So be sure to stay in touch if you're interested. And even if you aren't interested, I think once I start putting painting videos of these models out, because they're so different, you'll be able to get something from the videos regardless of whether you want to play the game or not. But I'm just having a whole lot of fun with it. Now here is what an example battlefield would look like with the terrain unpainted, which looks perfectly playable as is. And the terrain doesn't require any assembly at all. You just clip it off the sprue, which was lovely. And here is what it would look like painted perhaps. Again, these were painted by the Archon Studio team. I can take no credit for these beautiful models. And then here is how much terrain you actually get in the starter set. So you have enough to make multiple unique battlefields, all of which can be easily laid out by following the board examples in your battlefield book. I think a lot of love went into the making of this game, and I, for one, am going to thoroughly enjoy playing it. Now, just before I show you how I assembled He-Man, I want to give a thank you to the patrons and YouTube members that keep the channel alive. And if you are at all interested in helping the channel, you can check out the description to help on either a monthly basis or just at this single time, a tip for bringing this information to you. It's up to you, no pressure, but any amount helps. And thank you very much to those who have been helping already. I really appreciate it. For this assembly, you're going to need a pair of hobby clippers. As long as they have a pair of thin blades at the tip, you're golden. And a hobby knife, or if you aren't comfortable using them, you can instead use files or a mold line remover. And use plastic glue. Now, plastic glue needs some ventilation for yourself, and maybe open a window. My personal favorite is this extra thin plastic glue that has a thin applicator brush. And I'll show you why I use this particular glue in a moment. You'll be able to assemble every model in this kit the same way as I'm assembling He-Man right now, and though the numbering on the sprue isn't the greatest, with not always being 100% clear because of the glare of that glossy plastic, the photos from the assembly guide are well done, so you will be able to recognize the piece you're searching for fairly easily. I don't suggest ever cutting every piece off your sprue all at the one time. The most I suggest is just the parts of that particular character that you're building, and I like to add each piece to the assembly guide so I can follow the directions without any fuss. After the pieces are removed, I then use my hobby knife to shave away the excess plastic from removing them from the sprue, but I also use the back unsharpened part of my hobby knife to even out any area on a curved surface, because that avoids taking too much plastic from the model with the sharpened edge. After the pieces have been cleaned of excess plastic and any mold lines have also been removed, again using the back of the hobby knife, I'll dry fit the pieces together before gluing them together just to make sure I know which angle they should attach together, because remember, the glue will be drying fast and you want to place it in the proper place the first time around. Then I'll apply glue to one of the pieces and push the other piece into place. Like I said, these models were sculpted and cut so that the place they join together is practically invisible once you attach them. But just to secure the bond and make that join line even more invisible, I'll add a little extra of this extra thin plastic glue. This is not going to work well with a thicker plastic glue. I don't suggest that. This will only work with a thinner plastic glue. I'll add the extra thin plastic glue to the joints and make the piece invisibly secured. Now, plastic glue will not stick to your fingers like super glue would, and it dries very quickly on your fingers anyway. But you don't want to touch anywhere the plastic glue is still drying because the plastic has become quite supple for this time, and you will quite likely add a fingerprint into your model. So if you've used extra plastic glue and you are worrying about getting fingerprints on your model, just let it dry before going on to the next step. It does dry faster than super glue. It's not going to take very long. For anyone who's used any super glue before, believe me, plastic glue will dry absolutely faster, and it's worth the wait. And that is basically all you need to do until you have completed the model, step by step, one after the other. You can go back with more plastic glue after the model is fully assembled and add a little layer of plastic glue anywhere you want a join line to disappear. Just be sparing with the plastic glue at first while you're getting used to it, if you are going to use it before and after the pieces are glued together. All in all, none of these models require expertise in assembly. They could easily be your first step into the model making world, and if you've never removed a model from a sprue before, then even before these character models, take all the terrain off the sprue first and clean those up before ever touching the character models. Even paint the terrain first as your first step into painting, because the terrain will be much more forgiving than the small faces of these characters. Oh, and one last note on taking models off the sprue. Sometimes you may want to absorb the force of the removal with your finger against the piece of plastic, just so that the piece doesn't accidentally break during the clipping. and good luck. Alright, that is everything. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like. If you enjoyed my attempt at a sorcerer's outfit, don't know if you could tell. If you enjoyed my attempt at a sorcerer's outfit, give me a like. If you want to see more, like I said, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye! I was tempted to speak in the voice of the sorceress. She has such a unique voice that I wanted to kind of try it out, but I don't think I was able to pull it off enough such that I could keep myself from laughing during the video. But for those who stayed until the very end, I appreciate it, and this is my effort. All right, farewell now.